guys, welcome to the first recap of Celebrity Apprentice. They started out the show in Lincoln Center, 8 celebritards and a live orchestra. You know Donald rates that. Alright, so Arsenio, he had a little funny at the beginning. He said, Ruben Studdard called me and said, don't be the first black man to lose to Clay Aiken. That's so funny. Alright, Victoria Gotti, come on, she's just scary. I'm a little disgusted, to tell you the truth, that the only reason she's on the show is because her dad was a convicted felon. She's got your money. Okay. It's men versus the women. The men's team has got Adam Carolla. He's coming up with all these funny names for the team. White kids without iPads. I think they should have went with that. Well, that was his charity's name. Not really. Clay Aiken's like, I don't think we should pick any of the funny names that you're coming up with because Donald doesn't like that. And then Lou has to explain to everybody that he's deaf and he's not being rude or ignoring anyone. So they come up with the name Unanimous. I think Penn and Teller, minus Teller, came up with that, Penn Gillette. So the project manager is Paul Tuttle. Nobody was going to pick him, but he was like, yo, I've been in business for 40 years. He's not just a pretty face. He knows business. All right, the women's team, such a bunch of catty bitches on this team. I mean, all of them, most of them, pretty much all of them. They came up with the name Forte. Teresa Giudice, and the announcer doesn't even say her name right, came up with some stupid Italian name that nobody could probably even say because it was in Italian that meant winner, but nobody wanted that, so they came up with Forte. And Patricia Velasquez is the I was going to say prime minister because I wrote PM, is a project manager. All right, so it's time for the boardroom. They're meeting with Ivanka and Don Jr. for the preliminary. They announce all their junk, and then Trump is like, all right, Andretti's not going to be here. His friend died. His dad's filling in. So that's cool. I mean, it's not cool that his friend died, but it's good that his dad could take his spot for him. The task is making and selling sandwiches in a New York deli. All right, so Team Unanimous. Let's start off by talking about them. They're going to make it like a crazy carnival Barker atmosphere because they want to grab people off the street and bring them in. So seniors like, yeah, I'm going to get some of my choppers up in here and like 10 of them. And people like, you know, the motorcycles. The sandwiches don't really matter. It's all going to be about the donations. And Paul says that he could possibly bring in $500,000 in donations. And everybody's like, name that tune. So, yeah. They're going to make the sandwich the chopper. And they're going to change the ingredients according to what people want. You know, like a veggie chopper or, you know, a meat chopper. So, Paul was being very rude to George Takei. He was all like, hey, where's Star Trek? Do you go into space or what? It's pretty rude. But then again, it's Tuttle, you know? He's freaking rude. That's how he makes his money, by being outrageous. So I guess he's giving Trump exactly what he wants then, because that's what he signed up for. So outside on the day of, Lou's out there. He took his shirt off. One-man gun show. Which way is the beach? You know. Penn Gillette's out there juggling like bowling pins or whatever those things are that jugglers always juggle. Paul Tuttle's out there with choppers. Dee is bringing, whoops, that's a hair. Dee is bringing people in and directing them to Clay, who's very charming and good at separating people from more money than they originally wanted to give him. But the store was empty. I'm questioning Paul Tuttle's fundraising promises at this point, and so are the guys, because he said he was going to bring in $500,000. So, like, I didn't see anybody else calling anybody to bring in money, so hope the guys aren't going to be disappointed. Here I'm thinking, like, Does Paul Tuttle know how this show works? Was he just expecting to make that much money of people coming in and recognizing him? I don't know. All right, so the girls' team, Team Forte, Patricia was like, hey, let's make it like Carnival. And Victoria says no. Debbie wants a red carpet outside, and she wants to use her gift of music. Honey, I think somebody re-gifted it. And then Aubrey is like, I was in Danity Kane. I have the most Twitter followers. I could run circles around these girls. I'm so recognizable with my Kool-Aid dyed red hair. Cheryl, I think she thinks she's better than everybody else. And she was having a real problem with the cheese, too, for Debbie's cheese sandwiches. Victoria was on the phone most of the time. She showed up late. Something was wrong with her eye. It was probably bad plastic surgery. Just saying. All right. For the girls, Andy Cohen shows up because Tree said, hey, Andy, I'm on your show. Come down and support me now. Russell Simmons showed up. He wanted a freaking vegan sandwich. They didn't have anything for him. Basically, I think what they did was throw together a salad on bread with some garlic and olive oil on it. He thought it was okay. So Debbie's cooking up her grilled cheese back there. Don Jr.'s like, it's taking so much time. You're wasting time. You know what? It's not about the sandwiches, Don. It's about the money. All right, so the ladies really seem to be getting some big donations, which means they lost. So Donald calls up and is like, yo, get your best sandwiches ass over to the Rachel Ray show. She's going to pick a winner, and you're going to get some money for it. All right, so the ladies pick their Celebrity Club International, and the men pick their Senior Chopper. And they even had Orange County Chopper logo on the box with Paul Senior's gun. All right, boardroom time. On the ladies' team, Diana brought in a lot of money, even though her boyfriend's not rich. And Donald's going on and on about how he's not going to last because she wants somebody with money. Donald is like so quirky about like asking about the most ridiculous things. And he was ragging on Tia too, even though she was working that cash register. And, you know, if they lost, would you bring her back in? And then she was like, I don't care if you bring me back in. And he was like, well, that's stupid. And she was all like, no, it's not. All right. Actually, they would bring back Cheryl and Victoria if they lost. Now, for the men's team, Paul says Penn was the strongest. Yeah. And George and Arsenio were the weakest. And Adam Carolla made another funny, and he was like, you just brought back 3 minority groups on the first show. Yeah, we know. He's gay, okay? So, Paul apologizes to George for calling him meek. You know there's going to be a whole little rift the whole season, or as long as those two are on. Rachel Ray ended up picking the Chopper sandwich, so the men's team gets $35,000. Donald, again, with his weird questions, was asking about Lou Ferrigno's arms and body fat percentage, and weird. Why didn't he ask him how many times a day he takes a dump, for crying out loud? Or how many inches from the center line is his, you know, left nipple? He just asked the weirdest stuff. So we find out that the ladies raised $126,000 and change, and the guys raised $330,000 and change. And since they won the sandwich thing, that's another $35,000 on top of that. All right, so we find out that Paul Tuttle got $305,000 from one unnamed donor. Who the hell was it? He must be blackmailing somebody, for crying out loud. That's crazy. So Make-A-Wish Foundation gets almost $500,000. And afterwards, they drink in celebration, and Paul Tuttle is like, yo, there's no bitches on this team. What's it? First time, you know, you never heard guys complain, whatever. I love you guys. All right, so the ladies. Patricia and Diana raised the most money. And Aubrey and Teresa brought in a lot of people. So they asked Debbie Gibson, who would you fire? That Debbie Gibson is one sneaky bitch, let me tell you. She is one sneaky bitch. She's been on a lot of reality shows. She knows how this works. I didn't say it. All right. There's some question as to how much money Cheryl brought in, because everyone's throwing her under the bus. And she's like, oh, I brought in like 15,000. And everybody's like, I don't think so. She's like, I know a lot of cops, or I know somebody in the NYPD, and they sent the word out to, you know, bring in money, whatever. And they're like, I don't think so. I really don't think so. Aubrey would fire Victoria because she's negative energy. She doesn't think that negative energy belongs around here. P. Diddy wouldn't like that. All right, and Victoria, well, people starting to throw her under the bus a little bit because she was late and over an hour, and she was on the phone. She says it was about the task, but everyone else is saying no. So Patricia brings back Cheryl and Victoria. It's pretty obvious who Trump is going to keep and who he's going to send home. Gee, let me think. He's all about the ratings. Is he going to send home boring Cheryl Teagues or mafia Victoria Gotti? And he's playing up the mafia thing big time. He's going to want to keep her around as long as the ratings are up. So, yeah. She could probably take a dump on the floor and he still wouldn't fire her. He would be like, oh, well, that other person made you do it, right? Yeah, you know, Cheryl got fired. P.S. The end. Next week, medieval times. So look for some really staged things at the show. You know, I guess it looked like from the promo that everybody has to do something that, you know, that they're branded for. So, of course, Teresa with her table flipping, and I'm sure Paul Tuttle's going to ride in on a chopper or something, and who knows what the others will do. Who cares? We'll find out next week. Just hold on. If you can wait a week, we'll just see. All right, why speculate? Till next week, much love.